right after Hogan Andre, it may be my favorite Hogan moment. Maybe that, Bash at the Beach, whatever. It's right there because it's so incredibly electric. And you go back and you realize Hogan could still go at that stage. But by the way, then you go back and you realize he wasn't even that old relative to like how old some of the guys are today.
Yeah,
I mean,
true.
He would have been like a regular mainstay of the locker room in 2025 there in his late 40s. But that moment it's truly one of the best.
And you talk about WrestleMania 3, Hogan, Andre, Hogan slamming Andre the Giant in front of 93,000 fans. Most iconic image in pro wrestling history?
Most iconic image, most important moment. I was listening to you earlier, and I was clapping in my car at a bunch of the things you said, and I like that you pointed out that you're not necessarily the world's biggest Hogan guy, but facts are facts. I think that if Hogan doesn't slam Andre at WrestleMania 3, and obviously there's a lot of people who made that what it was, okay? And it's not simply just Terry Bollea involved in that, obviously. Bobby the Brain Heenan is a gigantic part. Andre's a big part. And, of course, Vince McMahon and Pat Patterson and everybody there who helped put that whole year together obviously did something incredibly special. But I don't think that, next week I'm hosting a, WrestleMania countdown and then doing the post show with Joe Tessitore and whole thing where it feels like this sport now. None of that's happening if they don't discover and Hulk Hogan and Vince McMahon don't come up with this Hulk Hogan Hulkamania thing. You said it. Without Hulkamania, there is no WrestleMania. You cannot remove how important that character was to this business.
Peter, and I say this all the time, and younger fans don't understand, but this is the truth. I remember in, 84, 85, 86, in the WWF, and I would go see wrestling at the Meadowlands every month. If Hogan was on the card, it would be 23,000 people at the Brendan Byrne Arena. If Hogan wasn't on the card, you get 5, maybe 6,000 people in the arena. I mean, that's how big Hulk Hogan is. I love Stone Cold Steve Austin, but if Stone Cold wasn't on the show, you had The Undertaker, you had The Rock, you had Mick Foley, John Cena just never reached those same type of heights. Like now we look at pro wrestling, you have Cody, you have CM Punk, you have Roman Reigns. It can't be. You're right. There's no comp. You can't compare it.
No, there's no comp. And you listen, the second biggest star of the era was Randy Savage. And Randy, everyone will tell you, Randy, the Randy shows would do a decent house, but not like the Hogan shows. And Randy, of course, got bigger after he was able to have the story with Hulk Hogan. Once he was a part of the story that began, at Mania 4 and then through 5, of course, that changed his career as well. And, for me, I am a Savage guy. I am a Bret Hart guy. Those are my favorites. But I will not remove the fact that Hulk Hogan, as a kid, it was such a gigantic draw. Mania 3 was everything. And remember, you were tuning in weekly. You were just getting little previews of Hulk Hogan. You didn't get to see Hulk Hogan wrestle on Saturday morning. Almost never. Every blue moon, you'd get like a random Hulk Hogan Killer Khan match on a Saturday. And that would, which by the way, I got to see at a house show at the Capitol Center in Landover. But by and large, you were getting a Hogan interview with Okerlund and some sort of look back at Saturday night's main event or the last WrestleMania. And they would just give you pieces of Hulk Hogan to keep you around for the next pay-per-view or Saturday night's main event. This is well before. Kids don't even realize this idea of the biggest stars are on TV every week was not a thing.
No, it was not. And it was not prime time either. You're watching late at night or early in the morning. It's not like 8 o'clock prime time TV. You're watching pro wrestling.
No,
it wasn't that way.
And Hogan was so I've been asked many times today, what was it about Hogan? And as simple as a question as that is, I think it's a brilliant kind of conversation to have in your head. What was it? I mean, he was not a mic guy. You know, like even though we all do an impression of Hulk Hogan and he certainly had charisma, when you look back at Hogan promos, they're a lot closer to Ultimate Warrior than you realize. Like they're kind of nothing. Like he would really just say crazy things if you really listen. Besides the say your prayers, eat your vitamins, everything else in there was a bunch of jumbled nonsense. It wasn't like he was the greatest stick man in the world. The thing that we have downplayed over the years is his in-ring work. Because at first, when you become a smart fan, I believe the first take of every quote-unquote smart fan is, you know, Hulk Hogan can't wrestle. That was like that's how you showed people you were more knowledgeable than the average wrestling fan. But the truth is, Dave, Hulk Hogan was not the Ultimate Warrior. That was a guy who put on great matches, even into his 40s. To this day, I say, there's not a working punch I like more than Hulk Hogan. And the way that he would sell, he couldn't have been the sort of babyface. The comebacks wouldn't have worked the way they worked if he wasn't such a great seller. So I think, Dave, they've overstated his, quote, lack of ability in the ring.
And nobody did the build-up better. The hulking up, you know, the clothesline, setting up the leg drop in the 1, 2, 3. Nobody did the setup better than Hulk Hogan. Nobody. And again, in 5 minutes and 23 seconds. But go back to January 23rd, 1984, when he beat the Iron Sheik for the WWF Championship. Watch and listen to the crowd. Forget about Hogan. I mean, I always say it's like the game-winning home run in the home team stadium, or the touchdown for the Super Bowl. Like, so you had 20,000 fans in unison jump up and go absolutely insane. Like, I don't know if, like you said, you and I are not having this conversation right now. We're not having it. I'm sorry.